Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the late start, but, as we said, the show must go on. Our co-host is on assignment, and our guest had a family emergency. So, without further ado, I give you the host who thinks he's the mostest, but he's actually just a little piece of a blob who likes to talk and blah, 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 who thinks he knows it all, but he knows that his executive producer is better than him, and he knows it. So, without further ado, Mr. Blah, 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 Nathan Noss.
Well, first of all, you called me Mr. Blah, blah, blah. That was like a 12-minute intro.
It was only 57 seconds, my man.
Well, okay, I exaggerated, but it still made my point. And as Big Money would say, this is the first because I'm actually doing the From the Chair podcast with Big Money Exchange from my wheelchair for the first time ever.
And he still looks like a talking forehead because he's actually in his wheelchair.
No, does somebody not see my nose?
Sorry, we can't hear you.
It's not like a stoplight right in the middle of my forehead.
Sure it is.
I thought you said you couldn't hear me.
Now he can't see you. Which is just where he needs to be.
You know, the first thought that came to my mind then is that song, the one is the loneliest number.
Yeah, because I could never do this podcast on my own, unlike the illustrious blah 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 blah. Because unlike the host, Mr. Blah Blah, I don't like to talk about myself because I'm not full of myself like he is.
I'm not full of myself. I just know what I'm talking about and, have factual and reliable information.
I see. So there has been some late breaking news out of this podcast. We are now officially booking into the month of October.
Yes.
And
that is amazing.
We've got 3 great interviews already set for that month. But we're not going to tell you who they are.
Dun, dun, dun.
And our little podcast is about to hit its 50th episode mark next week.
Yes.
Just which one of our interviews next week will be the 50th episode? Only we know, and our fans will find out.
And another thing to be proud about is at last count, although I haven't heard anything in the last few hours or so, I believe our Instagram account is over 75.
I don't know. I can verify that. And I can actually say that I officially booked my first booking on Instagram today.
Congratulations. That's a massive step for the podcast.
So our Instagram followers are 77.
I'm sorry, what was that? My headphones slipped.
Well, maybe you should learn to listen without your headphones.
Well, if I took my headphones off, I definitely couldn't hear anything.
I said our followers are 77.
Very nice.
And, let's talk about this partnership with Big Money Exchange. It's been the blessing in disguise. We miss one of our co-hosts dearly, and that's Miss Tonette.
Yeah.
And she has promised to pop on every now and again with some Big Money Exchange business. But until then, we've got Big Money Exchange willing to come on and help with this podcast, and it's been a phenomenal ride with Big Money Exchange. In fact, we are going to sponsor an event for Big Money Exchange here in the very near future as well.
Yes, we are, out of California.
But moving on, I know a lot of people have not seen the episode of Dynamite tonight, so I'm not going to do any spoilers because I actually get the East Coast feed because I have satellite, and
Sometimes I wish I had satellite.
It's supposed to be one hell of a show, though, and I know everybody's waiting for the much anticipated Tony Khan announcement.
Well, I'd like to get your opinion on this, though. Do you think Tony Khan does too many announcements? Because that's the consensus I've been hearing, from the other podcast shows today. Is, sometimes when you do an announcement, it's awesome because you only do one, like maybe once or twice, every few months or something, and it builds the intrigue. But it seems like every time Tony Khan has to tell you anything about AEW, instead of using the social media, he decides to make an announcement on Dynamite. I'm not saying that's always a bad thing if you have big announcements to make, but I mean, I think you would agree that some of his announcements, not saying this one because I don't know what this one is yet, because as I said, I don't have satellite. But some of his announcements haven't been like TV announcement worthy.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the same thing, that they haven't been TV announcement worthy.
I mean, they could have easily been done over Twitter, over Facebook, over Instagram. And I find that interesting. And again, for anybody that's watched this podcast in the past, I am one of the biggest Tony Khan fans there is because I love the way he books the shows, and that'll never change. But for somebody that says he didn't want to be on camera that much, he kind of seems to be on camera a lot.
Yeah, I do agree there too. He started out not wanting to be on camera at all, and then as the years grew on, he started being on camera more and more and more. And, now his announcements are just that, said announcements. And sometimes they're stale, sometimes they're good. But, let's not pick on AEW. Let's go to a second topic. I want to talk about the former co-host that was on here, Mr. Pat. Again, we wish him well in his future endeavors. And it sounds like, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to try to go out and try podcasting on his own. So if any of our viewers like cooking, we will try to find the name of the podcast and let you guys go take a look at it. But he's planning on teaching you step-by-step cooking instructions. And I guess his first episode, he's labeling the many ways to make macaroni and cheese.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, I hope he succeeds at that. I know sometimes, like, the cooking genre of podcasting or videoing can be very competitive. So, I mean, he's kind of got a fight on his hands. But again, I think he's got the will to do it. So hopefully it's successful.
I really hope it is too, especially for, especially for Pat. But moving on, we wish him nothing but the best of luck. And when we find out the name of his podcast, we will definitely try to pass it on to you guys. Or you can look for it on YouTube near you under Pat Holt.
Yes.
So, but enough about our former co-host, because this is about us and our 50th show together.
Well,
And
it's about us and big money.
well, yeah, it's about us and our partnership with Big Money Exchange. We started out 40 some shows ago. I'm not going to reveal which show is on because then you guys can go to our calendar and figure out which show is the 50th anniversary. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say 40 plus shows that we've had. You almost got me. You almost made me think of how many shows I was all going to put on. But I'm not going to do it.
I was wondering. It felt like you were getting kind of close there.
But I would not want to miss our next week's shows because you'll find out the day of the show because we've got banners and streamers. And I heard Nathan's nurses in the nursing home even have confetti for him to throw.
I think we can make that happen. Yes.
I can't have confetti in my house because my family would kill me. But it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun adventure. We're glad that we've actually gotten to make 40 plus shows, and we're hoping we're going to make many, many more beyond 50.
And I think with Big Money Exchange, not to sound too sappy, but the sky's the limit, man. With the creativity and the resources that Big Money has, who knows where we're gonna go from here.
And you know what, guys? I'm going to actually be nice. So next week, I will announce the day before that we're on episode 49. And then you all will figure out that the next show tomorrow night will be our money show.
I see what you did there.
And I know our co-host, Mr. Big Money Dodge, will be at that money show. I'm hoping that hopefully besides the guest that we have that night, we might get some members of Big Money Exchange to come on and celebrate with us too.
I think that could be a possibility if we work it out right.
But, let's talk about that for a while. It's like Nathan said, the world of cooking is competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, there are numerous podcasts out there that are wrestling filled. There's wrestlers doing podcasts. There's former managers doing podcasts. There's former referees that are doing podcasts and even writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
This world that we're in the business of professional wrestling, is a hard one. And
it is.
For us to master 50 episodes, and still have guests waiting to be interviewed. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not like the other podcasts where if they cancel on us, they don't get to come on for a year. We try to schedule them right back. I mean, case in point, Miss Scarlet Rose, she was supposed to join us. What was it? Monday night? Yeah, Monday night.
Monday night, yes.
She got sick and she's rescheduled for next Sunday night. So that quick, we try to reschedule as quickly as possible. Our guest tonight had family emergencies. I hope to have him on in the next couple of weeks. If not, in the very near future. I don't want to push it out as far as everybody else does, but hopefully in the very near future we can have him back on our show.
And I want to give you guys. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to give you guys a little bit about our guest that was supposed to be on tonight, and as Tony said, will be on in the near future. His name is Caden Cassidy. Now I know when you watch this, the title will say Todd Phillips. No, that's not the WWE Todd Phillips, who's actually going by Tom Flanagan now, in Impact. But let's talk about Caden Cassidy for a second. That man is one of the most vicious, and I don't want to say up and coming because he's held titles all over the Pacific Northwest. One of the most, I guess, workhorse work because you see him on almost every promotion. And this guy is a beast, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he reminds me, for Ring of Honor fans, and I'll bring this up more when he's on, when we reschedule, of for Ring of Honor fans, of Shane Taylor from Shane Taylor Enterprises. I mean, he's got that build, and he's got the speed and the agility. Now let's bring up some sad news. And it's particularly sad for Tony and I, as we kind of grew up with this guy. If not wrestling, at least around the wrestling business. It was announced today by multiple news outlets that superstar Billy Graham has passed away. Superstar Billy Graham was Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan.
He was Ric Flair before there was a Ric Flair.
Yes. In fact, there's a story about superstar Billy Graham turning down the WWF Championship where he would have beat Hulk Hogan because the man had so many kidney stones and stuff in his kidneys that if he would have wrestled, it would have killed him. I brought that up because for a man to sacrifice an opportunity like that to continue his career, but also put Hogan over in the process, because at that point Hogan was relatively young still. Tells you a lot about what and who superstar Billy Graham was. And a lot of people forget that in the 90s, superstar Billy Graham was a manager. Did you realize that?
Yeah.
I don't have it. Um, do you remember who he managed?
I don't remember. No, not off the top of my head.
He managed The Rock, Don Morocco. Um, wasn't for very long. Um, but he did manage him. Uh, and I believe he was a commentator also.
I do believe so.
Yeah, I believe he did commentary with Vince McMahon before Jesse the Body Ventura. So, let's talk about uh, some of the most underrated, if I can talk, underrated people in professional wrestling right now. And I'll go with, because Impact does a good job of kind of using everybody on their roster. I'm not gonna really bring Impact into this conversation because I don't think there's a lot of people that are underrated in Impact. I think, like I said, I think they do a good enough job of, keeping their talent relevant. But as far as like WWE goes, um, maybe like Mustafa Ali, and I know people are gonna say Mustafa Ali just won the Battle Royal on Monday, and now he gets an Intercontinental title shot at Gunther at Night of Champions. But come on, guys, let's be real here, right? There is no way in this world that Mustafa Ali is gonna beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Um, Another underutilized tag team is the Maxim Male Models. Um, I think the only reason they're still relevant a little bit is because Maxine's with Otis, and so by proxy, people remember the Maxim Male Models. Um, and Impact, uh, my number one would be Big Bill, formerly known as Cass, with Enzo and Cass. I say that because if you're Tony Khan and you have a guy that I can't do it the same way he used to do it with Enzo, that's 7 foot tall, and the only thing you're doing is putting him in a tag team with a group with Lee Moriarty, who's a great wrestler in and of itself, representing a group that's supposed to have been gone after the firm deletion match. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially when uh, W. Morrissey, when he was in Impact, was getting a better run there than I think he has in AEW. Another one to me is Luchasaurus, right? I thought they were going to give Luchasaurus a push, right? When Christian brought him back against Wardlow, but instead it's Christian that's in the feud with Wardlow, and they're just using Luchasaurus the muscle. What I wish they would do is let Luchasaurus wrestle like he either did when he was with Jungle Boy as Jurassic Express, or let him go all the way back and wrestle like he did when he was in Lucha Underground. So, Tony, I know that's a lot, but do you have any thoughts?
Hold on. And again, this is why I call him the king of blah, because he can just keep long-winded conversation and not let me get a word in edgewise. And then he cuts me off and he just goes and goes and goes and blah, 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 blah. But anyways, no, I tend to agree with most of them. But let's talk about, let's talk about underrated people. Let's talk about the referees. They are the most underrated people in professional wrestling, and nobody seems to give love to the refs.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. How can the referees be underrated when they're constantly in the ring and, depending on the referee, kind of make themselves part of the show just as much as the referee?
Well, again, you would think this because you're thinking like big money. I mean, and I'm sure you're one of those that think referees can only count to 2.
Well, they have proven that. I mean, there's a lot of referees that can't count to 3 unless they take their shoes off.
Okay, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, I have to announce that next Friday is, according to the host and co-host, it's 2 count Friday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 2 count Friday. We have double referees. We have double referees on Friday, so they conveniently, after they laughed about it, said it's 2 count Friday because these referees can't count. But let me tell you what, one of these referees is entering 15,000 matches, ladies and gentlemen, 15,000 matches, over 20 years wrestling experience, and they laughed at him and said he can't count to 3. Well, I can't wait for that referee to come on this show and for me to tell them that. Because maybe that referee will talk smack to Mr. Noss, and Mr. Noss will crawl into a little hole and curl up into the fetal position and cry like a little baby that he is.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to crawl into a hole for nobody. Big money pays me too good for that. Number 2, see, I can count to 2 too, but unlike a referee, I can actually count to 3 in 3 different languages. 1,500 matches or referee matches is a wonderful achievement and should be celebrated, and we will when that said referee is on. But here's the other thing to think of. Without there being the wrestlers, quote unquote, there would be no 1,500 matches.
Yeah, and then there's little smart marks like you who think you know it all.
Now, I don't think I know it all. I know it. Not all, but I know enough to get by.
Yeah, that's just it. You know enough to get by. But, I want to get on some even brighter news. One of the breaking news announcements we were going to wait for our October interview is, I'll give you another little teaser. He is this podcast's, well, only because we messed up on his first interview, he got a second interview. So he's going to be our official first callback repeat guest in October. And his first interview was a kick in the pants. And he's a very informative, bright young man, got a bright future in wrestling. And I am looking forward to having him back on this podcast in October. Unlike Mr. Noss, when I actually broke the news to him today, I actually laughed and said, "How could you bring this person back on this podcast? Shame on you, Mr. Noss. Shame on you."
First of all, I want you to clean out your ears so you can hear this, because obviously you can't hear that well. And shine up those little Harry Potter looking like glasses that you have so you can see what I'm saying.
Hold on. Let me change glasses just for you. Now I can't see you.
Yeah, now you're trying to look like a dumpy little Terminator, huh? So, let me say this one time again.
Because
I
that's all
would
it can
never,
come to, ladies and gentlemen, is just one.
I would never disrespect this guest.
But you did.
No, I didn't.
But you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I say you did.
You know, I think those glasses are distorting your brain waves or something. Like, maybe in your brain you think it's nighttime, so you're dreaming.
You're just mistaken because you can't look this cool.
Please, if I put sunglasses on like that, every modeling agency from here to Italy would be begging for me to pose for them.
Oh, I see. That's why Big Money Inc. Or that's why Big Money Exchange got me a modeling gig for GQ.
What is that? Their McDonald's branch? Your face gonna be on the kiddies menu, pointing out what's on the special for today.
I'll give you a special right between the lines.
Sorry, I'm not a very good reader. Can you?
So do you have a point to this, Mr. Forehead, or not?
Just the fact that I don't. You're not gonna announce who the guest is, so I just wanted to say who that I would never disrespect this person.
Well, that's
And
right, because it's part of the intrigue of the mystery of this podcast that we're starting to do.
The mystery. So now the man thinks he's a magician.
Hey, I'm the one that does the bookings. I'm the one that gets to control when we announce who our guests are.
So what's your trick next? Are you gonna pull a rabbit out of your mustache?
Oh, I've got a trick, all right. We've got a guest coming on tonight.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, let me see if our guest is ready.
I hope he can hang with the sexiest podcast host in podcasting.
Let me see if he's. Oh no, he's offline. So I guess there won't be a guest coming on tonight.
I mustn't intimidate them too much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, coming on tomorrow night is Mr. Javier Cruz. And
yes,
for those of you that don't really know where he's out of the great state of Colorado.
love the people in Colorado. In fact, that's the state I was born in.
I'm sorry, Colorado, for giving birth to this loudmouth.
Didn't really live there very long.
Well,
But
and then Friday night, I get to take a day off, and my host and the illustrious co-host, Mr. Big Money Dodge, will be interviewing a lady out of, I believe it's, well, somewhere back east. I'm not 100% sure where she's from, so I'm not going to announce it. And then,
very excited for that one. I always like getting different uh, perspectives on areas that I might not be familiar with, like as far as the country goes.
and don't get us wrong, ladies and gentlemen, he's just excited because he gets to hit on the guest.
Well, I mean, when you look like this, it's just a natural occurrence.
And then on Saturday, I labeled it and dubbed it Lucha Weekend or Lucha Saturday.
So does that mean we have to do the lucha thing with our fingers?
Lucha, Lucha.
Not to steal this from WWE because I'm not sure if it's not copyrighted, but no, I better not say that. Just in case it is still copyrighted.
But at 11 a.m. that morning, we have Mr. Skull Wrestler. And I might be able to pop on for that one before I have to go to work. I really wish I could come on for the evening interview because this wrestler is out of the great state of Hawaii, a place I've always wanted to visit.
Me too.
Well, it doesn't matter about you. It's all about me.
I have a standing job offer if I ever do go there, but that's another
What,
story.
waxing surfboards with your head?
No, working at a GNC.
Oh. And the 7 p.m. interview is El Guerrero Crevo. And then that leads you to the 21st. And ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Our first ever double interview weekend. Because we have 2 interviews on Sunday as well. The first one is at 1 p.m. and his name is Oceana Avery. And he is, I don't know. Maybe I'll let Mr. Nathan talk about him. No? Okay. He is out of New Mexico. He is a graduate of, is it
The over the rope?
Over the Rope School, ran by my good friend, Mr. Gino I Told You So Rivera.
Yeah, our good friend. Thank you very much.
My good friend, because my host kept dogging him and kept cutting an evil promo on him the first time he came on our show.
I did not. The man's a 16-time champion.
Woo!
Thank you. I would never dog anybody that's that successful.
And then on Monday, we have Mr. Jordan Cruz, not to be confused with Javier Cruz, who we have on tomorrow.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Jordan Cruz, because this one is somebody I know a lot about. He is a former Heritage champion for Hollywood Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. He is a former television champion for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And he's kind of a powerhouse, but he's an unassuming powerhouse. And what I mean by that is he's not like the biggest guy if you first see him, and he doesn't have like the Lex Luger type like muscles, but the feats of strength that he does is amazing. And the part that Big Money will like about this is he just recently turned heel.
Great. Another heel person I've got to cut a promo on. It was fun cutting the last promo on a heel. But then again, I also had purpose too, because he still doesn't want to admit that he lost to a woman.
I was gonna say, unlike Killian Crow, I don't think Jordan Cruz has ever lost to a woman.
But moving forward, next week is going to be a huge week, not only because we've got outstanding guests, but I've had to put up with 50 episodes with this ugly forehead.
And it's been the best time of your life.
Nah. Maybe it's been the best time of my life. I don't know. Maybe I should just leave because you don't pay me enough, because you don't appreciate everything I've done for this podcast.
Maybe I should work up, since I brought up I can sing, maybe I should work up a special song for our 50th episode.
We don't want to scare the guests away.
That's true. Might not be a good thing. Somebody hears it online, they might sign me to a record deal, and then I wouldn't be able to.
Then you'd be too good for this podcast, and Big Bunny and I'd have to take it over and make it even bigger and better without the host.
No, that's impossible.
No, everything's possible. So why don't you go ahead and talk more wrestling? Seems how you like to blah 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 everybody to death.
Well, let's talk about uh Double or Nothing that's coming up on, I believe, this Saturday. But again, don't quote me on that because they've been simultaneously promoting like two different shows lately on.
I thought it was the 28th.
It could be.
I thought it
But
was the 28th, but you're the host, so
in that pay-per-view, um, we have two confirmed matches so far. We have the AEW Tag Team Championships with FTR facing Triple J, which is Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Their name, not mine. With the rumor being that Mark Briscoe, and I want to say it as a rumor, Mark Briscoe being the referee. Um, and then we have the Four Pillars Fatal Four Way with Jungle Boy, MJF, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. So let's go through those matches really quick. I don't think, since they just signed a new deal with AEW, I don't think they're gonna have FTR lose the tag titles. So I would say that FTR would win that. And I also, if as much as my two co-hosts disagree with me, I think that it's gonna be Jungle Boy that'll win the Fatal 4-Way. And the reason I say that is because he's the only one on the Fatal 4-Way who hasn't held single gold.
I'd like to agree with you. I really, really, truly would. But I really believe MJF is a man of his word, and he said he's not going to lose until the title dispute of 2020 or the contract dispute of 2024.
But here's a question to that too: is there really going to be a contract dispute, or is this just a storyline to keep people talking?
I don't know.
Because honestly, I think that Tony Khan would be stupid. As much as I don't like the character, as much as it drives me nuts with which that just means that they're doing their job. Tony Khan would be nuts to let MGF go.
He tried doing that, and the ratings dropped.
Yeah, and Tony Khan doesn't strike me as somebody that makes the same mistake twice.
Which is okay. I get why you're saying there probably won't be a contract dispute, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see next weekend.
Now, I know we bring this up a lot, but um, do you think that Alexander Hammerstone uh, is eventually going to find his way to AEW to team up with MJF? Because right now, MJF has no backup. Unless you count the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
The Dynamite Diamond Ring. Well, he hasn't used that late. Well, then again, when was the last time he wrestled?
At an indie show.
Well, my point exactly. When was the last time he actually wrestled?
At an indie show.
Right, for AEW, though.
The tag match 2 weeks ago, or like 3 weeks ago, to determine whether it was going to be a fatal 4-way or not.
I mean, a fighting champion is a champion who's actually out on TV every week.
Interesting point. So, if we take that point, is there a fighting champion in pro wrestling right now?
Well, isn't the Impact title always defended or isn't he always there every week?
Well, yeah, I'll give you that one because he did just defend it against Rhino. What's your thoughts about Steve Backlund being the new heavyweight champion? and his upcoming match with PCO.
Macklin's a damn good wrestler. Unfortunately, I think he's going to keep the title with PCO. But, is there, that's very, very interesting. Is there a fighting champion in professional wrestling today? I guess we can argue Macklin is the fighting champion. I guess we can speak of the mentioned Alexander Hammerstone. He's a fighting champion.
When he's not injured.
Well,
or they're not playing an injury angle on MLW.
But he's still out there every week. I mean, at least his face is out there every week.
That's a good point.
He might not be defending the title every week, but he's there. Let's see here. MJF hasn't been seen in 3 weeks on AEW. Roman Reigns. I don't think he's been seen since the draft.
No, he was on last Friday.
Okay, well, he was on last Friday. But still, he only defends once a month. Well, not even once a month. Sometimes it's a couple of months.
Yeah, and he was on last Friday to announce one of the most mind-boggling matches I've ever heard of in my life.
Wasn't that the tag team title match that he announced?
Yes, the one where it's him and Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at Night of Champions.
Why is it mind-boggling?
Because is it really Night of Champions if all the championships aren't defended?
Well, we all knew that it was Roman Reigns' 1,000th day, and they're going to honor him.
Yes, but I heard a rumor, and again, I want to specify rumor, that there's no plans to do any kind of honoring or any kind of celebration.
Wow. Well, like I said, I haven't heard any of those said rumors yet either. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out and wait and see what happens. But
my question is, do you have Roman and Solo win the titles?
I, honest to God, hope not. Just because, I'm sick of Roman Reigns with the World Championships.
Well, and that's a good point, because then if they won the titles, what's it going to be? Solo defending them by himself? Because Roman's new contract says he doesn't have to show up as much as he used to.
Right, so he's a part-time wrestler. Why should he even have the championships?
Which brings me back to my original point. Why should he be going for the tag team championship?
Yeah, I don't know. It just amazes me.
I mean, is WWE that low on their tag team division that they couldn't come up with better people to challenge Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to go
Yeah.
against at Saudi Arabia?
Well, we all know, maybe they are small. Maybe they are starting to get depleted.
It's possible, but I heard a very interesting rumor today.
Oh yeah, what's that?
I heard a rumor that in the distant future, and the site that reported this made sure they emphasized the word distant, so it's not going to happen right away. That they're thinking about turning Bianca Belair heel, along with the Street Profits.
Interesting.
Their thought process behind that is, if you have, and it's a valid thought process if this rumor turns out to be true. If you have Bianca keep winning and destroying all her opponents as the face, i.e., what Roman Reigns did, then the fans are gonna eventually turn on her anyway.
Very true.
Because they'll just get sick of the fact that she's winning all the time. Mom, careful. Um I mean, I know the Street Profits were heels at one point in NXT. But because they've been faces for so long, it would be kind of weird for me to see them as heels. You know what I mean?
Right.
Although I could see an interesting storyline if we're playing fantasy booker here, where the Street Profits go kind of on a losing streak, and in that time Bianca Belair turns heel, right?
Right.
So in that time, she starts putting the bug in Montez Ford's ear that he's the bigger star of the Street Profits. He's the Shawn Michaels, if you will, of the tag team. And at first, she's hesitant to accept that. Dawkins is his boy. He doesn't want to consider that. So then you have them out of the whim in classic WWE booking, go get a out of the blue tag team title shot. Right as it looks like they're about ready to win, because Montez Ford would have told Bianca Belair to, come out to ringside so he can prove that, the Street Profits are as strong as ever.
Right.
So right as they're about ready to win, the Street Profits, or he turns on Dawkins, costing the Street Profits the titles, and of course siding with Bianca as heels.
Interesting theory. Very interesting theories you have tonight.
Thank you.
And that's because they're just theories. He used to call himself a booker, ladies and gentlemen. And how he explained all those matches damn near put me to sleep. That's how bored I was of his booking.
Are you really bored of my booking, or is that your old age catching up with you?
No, I'm bored of your booking.
I'm pretty sure I could get one of the Frontier people here to loan you a walker or something to help you.
I don't need a walker unlike you with that chair.
No, I look good in this chair.
Hmm. That remains to be seen.
By who?
Speaking of that, isn't night shift almost on? How are you going to get yourself back in bed when it's after curfew?
A, there is no curfew, and knock shift doesn't come on until 10 o'clock.
I heard there's always a curfew with you, though.
Nope.
Well, I mean, here you are in that chair. I'm surprised you're not rolling around to visit other residents.
But if I did that, I couldn't pass on my impeccable wisdom to the fans of this podcast.
I see.
Did you hear about Seth Rollins?
What about Seth?
He's gonna be in the new Captain America movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the rumor is that it's making people nervous about making him the world heavyweight champion at Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Which I can kind of see that. Because if the whole point of having the world heavyweight champion would be to have a championship that's different than Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, even though this is awesome for him, starts getting more movie roles, then aren't you back to the same situation you were in before?
I guess in a point you would be, yeah. So, let's see here. Where was I going to go? Oh, yeah, that's right. So let's see here. Tomorrow night's going to be a great show. We should have Mr. Big Money Dodge on there. So please look for us on Instagram. And that is live, or that's from the chair with Big Money Exchange. I think there's an underscore in there somewhere. I just can't remember.
I think it's after chair, but don't quote me on that.
Please look forward to our Facebook page where we will start posting all of the upcoming guests the night before with a beautiful new poster thanks to Big Money Exchange. And Friday night, Nathan and Steve welcome Carrie Jean Brody.
Yes, very excited about that.
And she's actually from the state of Ohio.
The Buckeye State.
Also the home state of Seth freaking Rollins that you were just talking about. Oh no, never mind.
I thought he was in Iowa.
That's never mind. Sorry, that was Iowa. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about John Moxley, the home state of John Moxley.
There you go.
It's been a long day. Anyways, so we're in an hour and 6 minutes. We have no guest, but we just wanted to come on and do a show anyway. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, please join us tomorrow night for Javier Cruz, and then Friday night for Miss Carrie Jean Brody. That's right, they're the next 2 episodes on Live from the Chair with Big Money Exchange. Until then, Nathan, Big Money Dodge just texted me, said, have your damn fleet up, and please go have yourself spaded and neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.